Well, welcome to it is Afterburner. My name is Ryan Pinder. There's Mike Gould. As the Calgary Flames on the second half of a back-to-back, which has been a nightmarish setup for them this season. Dare I say, dominate a listless Rangers club. Almost 3-1, but actually 2-1. The Flames now to 500 on this 4-game swing. Mike, welcome to Afterburner. You look like shit.
I do. The Rangers played tonight like how I feel.
Oh, jeez. Whoa.
Yeah, I feel terrible.
Can we get one of those like plexiglass COVID
We got to bring
separators?
him back. Bring him back. We got one.
If you feel somewhere. Like the Rangers look, that is awful.
The Rangers tonight looked like they were eating paste and calling it hockey. They were horrible. They were.
And you know what? Credit to the Flames.
Yeah.
But this should not have come down to the final 6-7 minutes hanging on to a 1-goal lead. Their inability on offense to, I guess, as they described in the broadcast, get some separation was evident. And when they had their second goal of the night in the first period, I wondered, will they be able to get to that magical 4 number tonight? The answer was no, but it didn't matter. I don't know that Dan Vladar was great or not. The New York Rangers, here's their shots by period. Outshot 14-5 in the first, outshot 10-3 in the second, outshot 11-5 in the third for a 60-minute total of 35 shots for 13 against. Calgary wins 2-1. We'll get into some of the details in a moment, but a reminder, this program is a presentation of Bet365. Make sure you download that app and use the promo code NATION when you do. It's never ordinary with Bet365. We'll get to some bets on tomorrow's games. Only 2 games tomorrow, so a lot of focus on a pair of games. We'll get to that down the road. Also look at the road ahead. And as well, your comments. If you do want to guarantee your comment gets on Afterburner today, there's a simple way to do it. It's called Super Chat. Plan.
Still gives me nightmares.
The Super Chat noise?
Oh.
Yeah, that was a good show. Rough ending.
Shut up.
What? That was me.
I think you were sicker than I was.
I wasn't sick. I just had to use the facilities. If you want to get your chat read, the Super Chat, it's pretty simple. Attach a dollar amount to it, as you can do in the comments on YouTube. If you're watching live, we're going to turn that money around for the Youth Centers of Calgary. Safe place and a fun place for friends to learn some skills, maybe just some quiet time. A safe place to be sure for kids before families are home from work in some higher stress parts of town, which is a great thing to have in our community. And we're super proud that your Super Chat dollars are going there. Mike, let's remove the lens of the Rangers' pathetic effort as they literally are in the chase for a wild card and not holding tie breaks with other teams holding games in hand on them. And look at the other side of the coin, which was a Flames team with a miserable effort of their own last night against a, I guess, motivated and charged Toronto team. Less than 24 hours later, what do you think of the Flames?
I thought they played fine, with the exception of the Huberdeau line, which I thought was amazing.
I was going to say, the third period, I have a bunch of Shesterkin saves starred. Huberdeau and tight on Shesterkin. He makes the save. Huberdeau to Frost to Coronato for the one-timer. Shesterkin makes the save. Frost to Huberdeau. I've got that starred. Shesterkin, big save. And then Rasmus Anderson, a shot tipped in front by Kadri. Those are 4 really good saves made by Shesterkin late. So, yes, maybe you could have, with a lesser netminder in, expanded that lead. But, of course, in Flamesy fashion, it was very much down to the final moments with the Flames having to eat a puck in the corner with 5 seconds to play to secure a 2-1 victory on this night.
Yeah, if Shesterkin's not in net, I think Huberdeau's looking at maybe 5 or 6 points tonight. I thought he and Coronato and Frost were just outstanding.
I like that line.
I thought, I think they complemented each other extremely well. I think Coronato obviously played with a bit more fire because his mom was there playing in New York.
His grade 3 teacher was there.
Really?
Yes. I mean, it's New York guy, right? So
sure.
They had a little feature on Sportsnet at one of the intermissions. My son plays hockey. Good work on your long division, Matthew.
Well, and here's the goal by Coronato, which is just an absolute snipe. And, it's funny. I actually thought that was one of the only good looks PP1 had all night. But I thought at 5-on-5, that line was just, they were dominant. Like, it was a game where the Flames clearly had the upper hand. It was a game where the Rangers, just didn't come out at all. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, I think that line just, every time they were on the ice, they were moving the puck well. They were skating well. Huberdeau, I mean, it just, it defies comprehension that this is the same player that we were watching last year and the year before and saying this guy just doesn't do anything, because right now it kind of feels like he's kind of doing everything. And
yeah, maybe not everything to the 115 point extent
Nope.
that you thought with the trade, but he had a 1 point December.
Yeah.
That was what, 16, 17 months ago? It was not that long ago. And it was like, yeah, this is the worst contract in the NHL. This guy's lost at sea. It's not working here. What does a buyout look like? Oh, you can't, like, it was literally a worst case scenario. And again, less than a year later, he's been with Kadri their most consistent offensive players, which, you know, you're grading on a curve here. It's a low bar on this team, but that was not anything that you would have labeled him in the first 2 years in Calgary. A consistent offensive player, and the defensive side of the puck's got much better.
Much better. I mean, it's not even a question. I don't know. He's just much more forceful. He's much more assertive. He's doing good things without the puck. He is consistently noticeable. I think he's a much better possession player than he has been for a lot of his career.
Agree with that.
I just think he's doing a lot more in all facets of the game. Although at the same time, I didn't think PP1 was very good tonight, and I think
they'll take the 1 for 3.
But yes, you gotta be happy with that. So I think it's a night that they should remember fondly, and I hope they should keep that line together. There's
a lot of talk on the broadcast about being excited and you know, from the media available, be excited, New York, this building, and you're like, yeah, like that's an interesting narrative. I mean, I'm sure they're excited about it, but they're also coming off a crushing blow and a formidable opponent when they're right. And then, of course, early on, the Panarin goal, moments in, first shot on net, and you're thinking, oh, are they excited to be in this building? Because it really, Uyghur slips on a banana peel, and Panarin goes where you should go on Dan Vladar, which is glove side. This was a nightmarish start for the Flames before they dominated the next 58 minutes or so. You could see Uyghur has the old, he hits the oil slick there. And I saw Stephen Valquette of Clearsight Analytics was on Kipper and Bourne today. My kid was sick home from school, and they started talking about goalies on the TV, and he's like, can we watch this down? Yeah. And Valquette went out of his way to talk about glove hand goalies, and every goalie in the league that hits a qualified number. Here's the best guys with their glove hands in the league, and it was John Gibson, it was a few other guys. And then here are the bottom 5, and my ears perked up. Oh, I just heard Dan Vladar's name. Bottom 5 with his glove hand in the league. So when you add up all the chances opponents have on every goal in the league, he's not great with the glove. And that doesn't mean he's a bad goalie. Every goalie has strengths and weaknesses. What it does mean is it's certainly a weakness relative to his brethren in the NHL. And so sure enough, first shot in, it was some heavy confirmation bias for me. But also, it's an interesting point. It felt like if you were going to game plan for him, you'd tell your shooters, try to go at glove, and first shot of the game, glove, 1-0 Rangers, not the start they wanted.
No, certainly not. It's an interesting point. I'm curious what the sample is on that Valquette stat. I'm not disputing
it's the whole season.
Yeah. Oh no, I grant you that's the whole season. But I think the last time we did this show, I made the point. Well, Vladar has similarly poor numbers when the Flames are ahead. I think it's sort of. I'm curious. The
head behind stuff I find different, because I think goalies do have strengths and weaknesses positionally.
Yeah.
And in terms of their technique, whereas game environments, it just might be a wonky data set, if you know what I mean, right?
It might just be a similar type of mentality thing. I think I don't know. It's a really interesting point. I think it's something worth looking at as you move forward, because at the same time, he does give up that goal. It's perfect after that.
Great.
Not tested though. It's
not really. There was, I think, a redirect from in tight in the final minute with an empty net behind them. And it's like, okay, that's good. But Dan Vladar usually makes a couple 5-bellers, and there's usually one that shouldn't go in that goes in. Tonight, that was the most low event game I've seen from Vladar maybe all year. Most nights when he's in there, he's asked to do a lot because it's the second half of a back-to-back, or, it's just the lowest scoring team in the NHL. So the margins of error are thin. But on this night, that was his best chance to read a magazine in net all year, I think.
No kidding. I will say I'm very surprised that Dustin Wolf didn't start. And
I'm a little surprised, yeah.
I was convinced. I said it with Cammy on the show yesterday. I'm like, well, why are you going to pull this guy who's in the middle of a game, obviously not going his way, but in a season where you haven't pulled anybody all year, I'm just it felt like there was maybe an ulterior motive there, but now it's
well, the ulterior motive might have been Dan Vladar hasn't been in for a while. Let's get him feeling some pucks.
True. That's a very good point.
And I had thought it was okay. It gives you the option to do either thing. If you are going to switch goalies, Vladar gets to feel the puck. And if you aren't, you at least get Dustin Wolf out of that tire fire that was them against the Leafs' top players last night. So
no kidding.
Looking back at it, I think it's a savvy pull, not because it changed anything in Toronto, but it allowed you to feel better about whatever your decision was tonight.
Boy, you talk about the Leafs' top players. Who are the Rangers' top players?
I knew who they were a year ago.
I
didn't think JT Miller had a good night, but you did notice him a bunch. Mika Zibanejad is hard to find out there, which is wild because he had a prorated over 50 goal season a few years ago, and that's rare. Only Hawk and Lube he's the only Swede ever to do it. I was thinking if anyone in the league could do it, it's Zibanejad, a Swede to get 50. You can't find him. Chris Kreider has become a non-event.
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
He's longer in the tooth. That was going to happen at some point, but he's probably only 3-4 years removed from a 50-goal season. Lafreniere is a nice player, but he looks like a complimentary middle six guy, not a top-line player. Keandre Miller seems to have had a regressive year, or at least a plateau in his development. And Adam Fox, fine, but did not look like he was a Norris contender tonight, and I don't think he is this year.
Well, it's funny that the Rangers are the team that made that trade with the Canucks to get JT Miller because they're kind of the same team. They're kind of a team. I mean, with Shesterkin changes the makeup of it a bit,
and he did tonight.
Yeah,
he
did.
This if you get some lesser goaltending, this could have been a score as lopsided as the ones we saw last night between Calgary and the St. Pats.
But the point is, you can say, okay, Shesterkin is the better goalie, Hughes is the better defenseman, but kind of the same mold as Adam Fox. And then up front, it's just a bunch of, well, where are these guys? I
feel like more like Pettersson's been disappointing.
Yeah.
Besser's had a bit of a down year, but he plays a lot with Pettersson, so you understand it a little more. I just see a lot of down years from a lot of the important players from the Rangers. And maybe that is the same as Vancouver, but I just think it's to a greater extent. It looks like a team that their give-up bleep meter is broken.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the Canucks that we saw Wednesday in Calgary, but it might have been the Canucks against Utah on Sunday, although that was their third game in 5 nights. I don't know.
I wonder how much of it comes down to Laviolette. Because you watch those Capitals before Carberry took over.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the same thing. They were listless. They were kind of felt like they had capped out. And I get they've made some changes to their organization that have enabled them to be a little bit more sustainably run. But I don't know. There's something about that coach that seems to follow him around a little bit.
The other thing that we can't ignore is the fact that the owner and the GM, and I don't know how to separate the two, because if the guy with the shitty cover band that owns the team and MSG says, I'm done with this guy, the GM probably has to do it. And that is kind of the rep of James Dolan, that he's going to let you know how he feels about personnel decisions. It feels like the GM and the owner, or a blend of the two, really shocked that room, and not in a positive way.
Yeah.
They made it really feel like a business showing up to work rather than like a passion project. And so the players, if they're like, screw this, we love Trouba, that's our leader. We don't like the way you treated Barclay Goodrow. We don't like having, guys with no move clauses, names out in trade rumors. At times in December, when it was at its worst for the Rangers, it felt like it was a revolt against upper management more than the coach. But I do agree that I don't think Laviolette is the difference maker that he used to be.
Well, and I also think they're to a certain extent, they're trying to emulate what Vegas has been doing. Being cutthroat, being, all about the business, but you have to be able to back that up. And the Rangers the last few years, they are so far removed from being that team. And
they won the President's Trophy last year, and they had a lead against Florida in the conference finals.
I don't know.
Like, not a perfect team,
I don't
but
know.
You can be cutthroat. I do like the comparison, but I'll just say this. The similarities are they're desirable markets, and they're teams that feel like if we're close to winning, we're all in on winning right now. And if you don't want to be here and you've got some words in your contract, we're going to try to find loopholes. Like, win at all costs. I just think the Vegas players are better at this point.
Yeah. There's no Jack Eichel in the Rangers, really.
No,
there's no Mark Stone.
Tough night for the Rangers. They looked awful. We'll move along. Are you looking at buying or selling the Rangers? No, but what about a home? Because the Rangers are much more expensive. If you're doing that, you got to check in with our boy, Derek Newman of the Derek Newman Group with CIR Real Estate. Buying or selling, he'll do the work for you. You can email him right now, dnewman@cirrealty.ca or call 403-619-6661. You can also visit the website, dereknewmangroup.com. Note the spelling on Derek, not the E-R-E-K. That's the good spelling, if you ask me. The other thing is he just did D Newman for the email, so smart. You don't even need to know how to spell his first name if you do the email. Good stuff. Complimentary in-house home staging consultations, whether it's your first time buying or selling or you're a seasoned flippy flopper of homes. He's going to help you execute your goals. And he's been able to find some houses before they even get on the market, which is a serious bonus before other people can set eyes on them. If you're interested in buying or selling in the greater Calgary area, give him a call. That number again, 403-619-6661. He'll make it easy for you and let Derek get his network working for you. You in the home market, or are you good for a bit?
No, I just got into it.
Well, there you are.
I'm out, but you know what? I'll fire up the old BlackBerry when I need to and get Derek on speed dial.
BlackBerry.
Get him on BBN.
It's an odd reference. MSN Messenger?
Yeah. AIM.
Okay. I think, Jack, we saw the 1-0 goal for Panarin, and we did reference the Coronato goal. Let's have a peek at the Kadri goal, because I don't believe we've seen that one yet. This would stand as the game winner, and with it coming midway through the first, there was only one after it, I guess, somewhat surprisingly. Uyghur had the tough first shift. We showed you he slipped on the banana peel, but he makes this all happen here. He is right at the top of the crease to whack this on the net. And then following the play is Kadri. Look how high up Uyghur is.
Yeah.
Pops right out. Kadri's like, yoink, that's mine, back of the net. And that erased what was a bad start for the Flames. And they got back to even terms. Again, if you delete the first 2 minutes of this hockey game, Rangers really struggled to generate anything. And again, the only goal came less than 2 minutes in. That said, Calgary can't control how their opponent play in terms of the effort level. I don't know that you nitpick the Flames here, aside from if you'd just beaten Shesterkin a few more times, you wouldn't have had to sweat it out at the end. And of course, they did get a goal at the end that was overturned for offside hilariously with 8 seconds left. We were sitting watching it live. I'm like, did they just go offside on an empty netter?
Pinder called it,
and
right
Coleman
away.
Indeed did. He was in a step early. It was a nice play from Pospisil to sort of spin it behind his back. And this is quite funny. It's a 3-on-1 on an empty net, fellas. All you have to do is not go offside. And Nazem's he's the left shot, and he's pulling it on his forehand, which drags the puck back. If he just pushes it forward with one hand, just his right hand, like he can lead that play in onside. I don't care so much as it's, 11 seconds when they go offside, 12 seconds, but that's a silly mistake, albeit one that doesn't cost them anything.
Look at the Rangers player just gliding back. I mean, he could have tried a backhand pass. Pull it. You talk about going offside on your forehand there. I mean, Kadri's got all the time in the world to just push that ahead.
Just push it in.
That is only the Flames this year would do something like that.
Yeah, and you know what? That's not to rip on these fellas. It was just that's how hard it was to get the third goal for this club, and we know how hard it is for them to get to 4. But look, there were some good developments tonight. You got some rest for Wolf. I wonder where they go in net. I'll ask you that in a moment. But I'm with you. Huberdeau, Frost, Coronato. That is a very tantalizing trio at this moment, albeit I don't know how they'll look against a team that's trying more than the Rangers did tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I quite frankly, I didn't dislike any of the lines tonight. I thought they all had their moments. Farabee, I thought was their worst player tonight, but that's, I didn't think there were really any guys who stood out that poorly in a bad way. Maybe Miramanov a couple of times. I mean, we're going to talk about that, but I mean, just going back to the empty net, we've seen Huberdeau hit a post on an empty net this year. Yegor did it once, although then he scored right after. Going offside, 2-on-0. I just don't remember seeing a team having this much trouble with the net empty than the Flames. And then going back to the Kadri goal, the play that I actually really like. You talk about Uyghur, but I actually really like the play by Joel Handley, and he doesn't get an assist on it. But boy, that's just a perfect bank right in front. It was aggressive, and being the last guy back, it was a bit of a gamble. And it was just a nice hockey play.
I want to ask you about the return of Connor Zary.
Mhm.
He factored in on the first goal, finishes with a point, which when they only get 2, impressive, but seemed to have some jump and stability to his game. Off the injury, he hasn't quite been himself. He looked himself tonight, and that's key for the Flames, who are going to be without Backlund for, I would think, quite a bit longer.
Yeah, I thought generally speaking, the majority of the Flames forwards were at minimum solid. And I think, I think Zary falls into that category. I think he was solid. I think he made some solid plays with the puck. He was aggressive. He was tenacious. He was okay on the forecheck. He threw a couple hits. I don't know if I saw the Zary that I have seen in the past, where you watch this guy carry the puck with a ton of confidence, really strong on entries and in transition. I didn't necessarily see that part of Connor Zary tonight, but I think he was assertive. And I think, there's an element of not trying to go over the line. And some of that sort of leaches into the rest of your game, where you're just trying to maybe ease your way back into it. But I thought he didn't stand out in necessarily a positive or a negative way. I thought he was just sort of good.
They need a guy that could step in and be good to push the Dryden Hunt out of the lineup, so to speak. So I'm happy that for his sake that he's back. He owned it. He showed contrition.
That's a good word. That's a Scrabble.
Very
word.
Proud of myself.
That's
it's
solid.
too long for Scrabble. No way you're gonna be able to log all those vowels. Good luck to you. By the way, the new lines did look like this. Kadri and the kids, as they were coined last year when it was the rookie seasons for Pospisil and Zary. We talked about Frost, Huberdeau, and Coronato already. Sharon Govich in the middle between Coleman and Farabee. We've seen Coleman and Farabee on opposite flanks with Backlund in the middle a bit. Good to see them better. I know Igor has been fighting it, I don't know, basically since the injury this year.
What
do they call it? The fits and spells, maybe that would be how you best describe his play this year.
Feels like
be very generous.
Yeah.
And the fourth line was the fourth line. The return of Kevin Rooney, the Rune Dog, back to the Big Apple. Those are the new lines. I'd expect they're the same in New Jersey. Maybe you get a Braden Pahal back in for Miramanov. Thoughts on that?
I mean, sure. I think Pahal has dropped off a little bit the last month or so, but I think he's still decisively better than Daniil Miramanov. I just think if you're gonna treat this as an open competition for the 6th spot, I think it does a disservice when you're equating those two players, because I don't think they're in the same league. But at the same time, I think they could stand to have somebody who is more at Pahal's level. And I think there's an element of, when you have the guys who are cycling in, Miramanov and Barry, and guys who are so demonstrably below that threshold, I think it doesn't do you any good, because I think Pahal does have to be held to a certain standard. And I think last game against Toronto, I thought he really struggled, and I get the whole team struggled, but I think he was still the weak link on the back end. And so I think there has to be a little bit more internal competition. That's where I would sort of say, okay, Daniil, we tried, it hasn't worked. Let's try somebody else in that 7 spot. And then I think it's maybe a fair comparison, because I think at this point you can take Pahal out by all means, but it doesn't really send a very good message, I think, when Miramanov's the replacement.
Yeah, Miro's been a weird fit, because he kind of was the de facto top 4 that played with Uyghur the first half of the year. Hanley's taken that away from him in the second half of the season. Did I say period? I mean season.
I think you said season.
And yeah, so Miramanov hasn't really had a chance to be a third pair guy, because he's a right shot, and Pahal, I think, is better suited to that role and has been quite good in it most of the year. So Miramanov has seemingly bounced between top 4, which is too much for him, and press box. And it's like, geez, I wish I could get a chance to try to be a third pair guy. Mm-hmm. But to be fair, Pahal's been better at that job. So them's the breaks. He was a guy that hardly played last year in Vegas. They didn't want to lose him on waivers, but they also didn't want to play him. He had a serious injury the year before. He's a converted forward. I don't know if we know what Miramanov is, and he's got 1 year left on his deal, if I'm correct. I just wonder if he's not at this point, if he can establish himself as a top 6 defenseman in the NHL, you can go make more money in Russia. I think he can.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, You're talking to a guy who was a big Miramonov booster when they got him. I thought he had
mid-season.
Yeah, I thought he was a big project who had potential. I thought, watching him in Henderson, I think he had ability to be a guy who could stick in the NHL. And he has the size. I wasn't sure if he had the skating. I don't think he has the skating, which is unfortunate. But the numbers with Weegar last year were good. They were legitimately good.
Small sample, but good.
Small sample, but good. And this year, the numbers haven't been good anywhere. And it's unfortunate. And I think he's a character. He's a funny guy. When they haven't had a chance to interview him many times this year, but boy, when he talks, he's funny. He seems to be a good team guy. I just think for the betterment of the organization, there are guys who would benefit more from that experience and exposure.
Are you a fan of his girlfriend's music? That is the important question. She is a DJ with her sister.
Is she? This is news to me. I was not familiar.
You can do some digging.
Okay. Well,
it's very club friendly. EDM.
Yeah, that is what it stands for.
Yes, and she's very positive. She's good on the Instagram reels. She's definitely a 20-year-old DJ. In her 20s, I should say. Okay.
In 20s. Yeah.
So we'll expect the change on the blue line. We'll expect all four lines stay consistent. And the question now becomes, where do you go in net? They play New Jersey on Thursday, and then they have a Saturday afternoon game. Are you expecting a Vladar return or back to Wolf against the Devils? And again, a little context here. It theoretically could be a Jacob Markstrom revenge game, although I don't know that matters more to Vladar and or Wolf, or if the Flames even care. And Jake Allen's frankly been outplaying him the last little bit, so maybe it's not even a Markstrom night.
I think it'll be an Allen night, but we'll see. Allen's, I think I saw Money Puck. I think like the last 20 games, Allen's had the best numbers in the league.
It's been awesome.
So, yeah. So I think it'll be Wolf.
I think he was like 45 of 40, 44, 45 last night.
Yeah.
Speak of the Devil.
Yeah. And the Devils they'll probably have to give up a second-round pick for Jake Allen as part of that condition. I think there was some games played threshold, and because Markstrom has been hurt and inconsistent, I think they'll end up having to give that up.
Interesting.
And it's going to be really interesting. I think you got to go back to Wolf just because the track record's been so strong. But Danny was good tonight, although
he was fine. Yeah,
he didn't have to do very much.
No, and that's not his fault. He did a good job. Aside from a clean break from Artemi Panarin, who 40 goals or 30? It was 30. I think
30.
He just keeps doing it every bloody year. We had the stat on the main show the other day. He has 10 consecutive 40 assist seasons.
Wow,
more than any other active player.
He's very good.
Like more than Sid. That blew me away.
Could have been a Flame.
Anyone drafted after round one probably could have been a Flame. So
but they wanted to sign him. It was the whole thing. It was either them or Chicago.
Tough pick. Go play for a cup contender, or I know. Boy, he was humming and hawing. I know the Flames in the mid-10s were really good.
They had just won the Stanley Cup. Who are you going to go play for? I mean, in fairness, the Flames, that was one of their only good years.
It's like saying Jack Eichel and Mark Stone were almost Flames.
I know.
There is no almost. You either have the guy or you don't. It's binary.
You should tell Brad that.
Is there a second place version of Eichel that they get for not getting the real Eichel, or do they have just as much as the 32nd team on how close they were?
I believe the second place version was Derek Ryan.
That's not going to work for me. Although I think he is back in for the Oilers.
He is.
Okay, let's get to the road ahead. We do that for Platinum Mitsubishi. You know more than I do. The floor is yours, Michael.
Yeah, Platinum Mitsubishi is a stellar place to go get a car. It's up at 2720 Barlow Trail Northeast. I say stellar. Stellar has the same root word as star, and it's triple diamond. But it sort of looks like a star.
Okay,
so it's kind of cool that way. New Outlander, it's coming out, and we hear that Ryan Pinder might be making an appearance at the launch barbecue, April the 12th. Up at 2720 Barlow Trail Northeast.
I do like stars and barbecues, so just the potential.
Yeah. New Outlander, it's got brown leather seats, and they're nice, and they're cooled. They're cool.
Fans in there?
Well, yeah, they're little itty bitty ones. They just sort of come up.
Careful. All right, lovely car. Yeah. Thank you. Platinum Mitsubishi presents the road ahead. What is the road ahead, Mike?
Road ahead is the Flames finish up this road trip. They're going to be Ryan Pike is there, by the way. He's watching all this stuff in person, and they're playing against the Islanders and the Devils. Devils first coming up, and then they're going to come back home for a couple of quick dates, Seattle and Dallas. So it's going to be a bit of a bumpier road ahead. I mean, they got some tough games to close the month. They got the Oilers coming up too.
Yeah.
I think they got the Leafs again.
Why don't I just give you till the end of the month here? How's this sound?
Yeah, just go for it.
Thursday, 5 p.m. That's the Devils. Saturday is a matinee. They will take on the Islanders. It is a 2 o'clock Mountain start. Unless someone's got their time zones wrong on this.
No, they always have weird start times out there.
Well, and it's a weekend game, and after the football season's over, you'll see a lot more of those in the States. Flames return home for a Tuesday game against Seattle, the usual 7 o'clock start. Ditto for the Dallas Stars, who flogged the Flames early in the season, and Flames stole an overtime point for them just to wrap that last road trip. Then the Flames are on the road for 3. It is a busy 3 and 4 nights. A Saturday Hockey Night in Canada game in Edmonton. We'll be at Richmond's. Come hang with us. Come say hello. Watch party time. They'll have the Barnburner Blonde Tall Boys ready to rock. Not to mention all kinds of great other specials for a Saturday night at your favorite neighborhood pub in the heart of Glamorgan, don't you know? Then it is Colorado on Monday. They've had their way with the Flames twice already this year, and Utah the next day, Monday, Tuesday, back-to-back. That is the final back-to-back they have remaining on the schedule tonight, completing their penultimate back-to-back of the season. So tough road trip. Edmonton Cup contender, Colorado Cup contender, Utah trying to get into a wild card. Feels like a big one there. That gets them through the 1st of April. They finished the season with a lot of California. 2 Anaheims, 2 San Jose's, 2 Vegases, which is not California, but you get my point. LA to close the season. The only non-Pacific Division game they have left, it's a Minnesota at home Friday, the 11th of April. That is the full road ahead for Platinum Mitsubishi.
You know, I was told this summer multiple times that as soon as you get Arizona out of Arizona and you put them under a real billionaire, who is a real billionaire, they're going to be a vastly better team.
A little better.
Holy moly, they are not at all.
They're not better?
They're losing 5-0 to the Oilers right now, midway through the second.
Could they make the playoffs?
I don't think so.
So the standings, just to reiterate your point.
I don't think it's possible at all.
They are 2 points out of a playoff spot, and it is not possible for them to make the playoff spots. This is a Mike Gould hot take.
4 points out of a playoff spot now. The St. Louis Blues just defeated the Nashville Predators, but nevertheless, no, they're
4 out with a game in hand, and you're calling it.
They're terrible. Just a terrible, terrible team.
I think terrible is too strong. I think the probability of them making it is above 0.
Ugh.
And I do think there is a team that's not very good that's going to get the second wild card. I'm not writing them off yet. I will say that.
Ugh, I don't know. I think we are seeing a team that is going to be limited in what it can do in Utah. And I think,
sure, but how many months were they missing 2 of their top 4 defensemen? Like you're kind of shitting all over them just because you love the Coyotes.
No. I think ultimately, I think what you're seeing in Utah is a team that, I really like Logan Cooley. I think he's a player who the Flames would die to have, but at the same time, I just don't know if you can look at that organization and say there's a superstar caliber player. And I think
Keller's not it.
I think Keller is I think he's a watered down version of what Johnny was. And Johnny was a very, very good player. But I just don't know.
Yeah, I'm not here to tell you they're going to win the cup. If you're telling me they can't be the second wild card in the West, it's a 0% chance. I'll take that bet. Why don't you give me 100-1 odds?
Deal.
That's a horrible deal. Don't take that deal. Origin Brewing, we told you about them over our shoulder. We got a bunch of the Origin here in the beer cooler. Of course, the Barnburner Blonde. It's a 1.5 years old, I believe. Just toddling around. Almost, it's just jibber jabbering, walking, trying to form sense. Just a little one. But our true little bundle of love, our latest and greatest, the new arrival is the Afterburner Pale Ale. If you like something a little bit hoppier, a hazy pale, get into that one. Ask for it at your local watering hole or your favorite liquor store if they don't have it. Say, guys, Origin Brewing, like you got to get some in here. Don't you know the story? And they'll say, oh, sorry, sir, it's right over there. Oh, if they don't, now you got to sell them. Okay, so best barley in the world, makes the best malt in the world, makes the best beer in the world. And the store owner's going to be like, I'm so sorry, sir. I'm going to order here as quickly as I can. What more can you tell me? We're going to say, well, they got a lot of really good beers. They got the homegrown lager. They got the Mexican lager. They got the Pioneer IPA. If you like IPAs, that is an absolute banger. They got the Lazy Days Hazy IPA. Hazy's a little different than a regular IPA. More citrusy, I'd say. The Rockeford Raspberry is a delicious summer beverage. Get that one in for the summer for sure. Not to mention some others, including a red ale, a Gosa, a brown ale, and of course the blonde and the pale ale with that shares our lovely branding, the Afterburner and the Barn Burner. So go check them out. OriginBrewing.ca if you want the merch or you want to get it delivered to your home. And of course, they got the new location in Calgary. It is the OC, Origin Calgary. Sit down for a pint. Go say hello. It is located in the Northeast, 943 28th Street. Make sure you check the hours. It is not an everyday shop, but bet you if it's the weekend, running some errands, or get some kid at one of those stupid gymnasium bouncy castle places, slide in, have a beer. You could do that too. More information all at their website, originbrewing.ca.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Not having one tonight?
Not having one tonight.
You're going to hammer some NyQuil and pass out.
I am sitting here. You're
almost dead.
My sleeve is just getting.
I need 9 minutes out of you, and I don't want you to draw attention to the fact that your nose has been running and there's germs everywhere.
It's awful. It's awful in here.
No
we
good.
need to get we need to get a hazmat team.
Why don't you go get a Kleenex and come back?
What?
Get the hell out of here.
No.
Okay, fine. It's tough it out.
It's fine. It's fine.
We'll get to our bets. Anything missing tonight? This was a stat I heard that I was like, this has to be wrong. And maybe it is. The Flames in 1-goal games, 13 wins, 2 losses, and 11 overtime setbacks. So all in all, they win and lose around the same amount in close games, but they find a way to get a point almost every single time they're in a 1-goal game. If the stat is true.
Yeah.
I heard it on the TV.
You were, I can vouch. You were.
I immediately was like, what?
You 13, were actively
13, 2, and 11?
Actively doubting the veracity of that stat.
It's just wild that you don't have more than 2 regulation losses by 1 goal.
They have been.
It can't be right. I mean,
those overtime losses
I'll
are
audit the 65 games.
They're the reason they're in a playoff spot or close to a playoff spot right now. If they
maybe, I mean, here's the thing: it's getting to overtime that's got them that. If they're not losses in overtime, they're wins. So it could be a lot better.
No,
but getting to beyond regulation tied has been a big part of it. Yeah,
I grant you that. Yeah, no, it's the fact that they've been able to grind these ones out and sort of reduce the variables in these games is sort of what this entire season has been sort of predicated upon. It is
grinding thing down to low event and like don't allow the get blown out this thing's over to happen. We'd rather keep it tight. And if we can get a bounce, we'll get a point.
How many guys on this team are on pace for 30-point seasons? It directly correlates with it. I mean, do you have it in front of you? Because I could do the guessing game. I think
like Coronato's probably there.
He's already over 30, but
clearly Huberto, Kadri are there. I would think Uyghur, and I would think Zary after that. I don't know. Who am I missing?
I think I know entering the game they had 4 guys,
maybe?
4 guys who had 24 points. I think it was Rasmus, Anderson, Backlund, Sharangovich. There might have been one more, but it is. You look up and down this hockey DB page, and it is ugly. It is absolutely ugly.
And here it is. No, was tonight game 66 or 67?
67.
So they are now 14, 2, and 11 in 1-goal games.
And you thought that was a lie.
Unbelievable.
You thought that was a lie. Hearing that live on air. You should have seen.
I was like, that has to be an error.
He can't be right about that. But he was.
But think about it. Like, to only lose in regulation twice out of all the losses they've had in regulation all year, twice by 1 goal, that's it.
Yeah.
And all the tight games they played, tip your cap. They found a way to get points.
There we go.
There's Jordan doing the work we just did. I verified the 2-1 goal loss thing. It checks out. 4-3 loss to Ottawa. Okay. And a 2-1 to the Blues. Yes.
Wow.
Thank you, Jordan.
Tip of the cap.
Jordan, Origin on me. Next time you see me, might be warm, but I'll be carrying one on me for the rest of my life until I run into you.
I would be very curious to know of those overtime losses, how many of those games they trailed in by 1 goal at one point.
I could probably give you something close to that. I could tell you about 3rd period comebacks. I've had a bunch of those.
They have.
Wins.
Yeah.
So Calgary Flames comeback wins this season 9-0-1.
Wow.
9 1-goal comeback victories, 1 3-goal comeback victory for 10 on the season, 10 comeback victories, and 4 where they've done it in the third period.
See, because what I'm wondering about this season, because you go back 10 years ago, the 2014-15 season, that year was the year of the comeback win. It was everything they did, especially in the third
they were
period.
on pace for like 20 midway through the year, and they ended up at like 11 or something. It was a horseshoe thing. It wasn't.
And this year feels like the year of the comeback overtime loss. They come back to get in these games, then they lose.
Hey, and just call it a tie. I'll feel better about it.
That's just points. I don't know. I have nothing to back that up, but it's just what it feels like.
They have been doing that. They've done this thing, and it speaks a lot to the goaltending that you can hang in a game when you've been outplayed, get a bounce, lose, but still get a point for your efforts. That's probably the Wolf factor, a big part of it. And any stat that you're going to look at this team that shows how are they doing this, Wolf's going to be sewn into that. He's in the absolute fiber of where they are
100%
at this juncture. It's crazy. Okay, Jack, let's get some comments before we wrap the show with a bet. Do we have any super chats, Jacko? Should Conroy offer sheet Matthew Nyes?
Sure.
Well, so do you know where the thresholds are, and do you know what you'd pay him and what?
Well, the threshold, I mean, the one that everybody talks about is the term threshold. If you go over 5 years, the AAV gets all messed up, but then in terms of money, I don't know. I mean, I think it's like $2 million for a second round or a third round pick, and $4 million or $2 million for a third round pick, $4 million for a second round pick, $6 million for a first round pick. It's I don't know.
Would you give up a first for him? Your first you won't have this year, but it'll be next year's picks you're giving up anyway, because an offer sheet would happen in July after the draft. That could be a really high pick.
Yeah, I would have no interest. Myself.
So if it's seconds and thirds, sure, but I feel like seconds and thirds, that dollar value might be an easy match for the Leafs, although we do need to see what they do with Marner and Tavares, because they're currently paying those two about $22 million, and they might come in at 14 combined next year. Depends what kind of hometown discount Tavares wants to give them. They might come in at $0. They might not have either of them. So I don't if they're jammed up against it, then it's a good thing to do. I think you'll see teams trying to use offer sheets more, but the challenge is we're just coming out of that flat cap era where teams really were up against it. And now even the teams that have been capped out for seemingly a half decade, it's like, oh yeah, there's some considerable growth happening the next week. It's just hard to get teams in a bind. And the Oilers really shouldn't have been in a bind. All they had to do was put those contracts for Arvidsson and Skinner in a drawer, and no one would offer sheeted them because you'd have all that cap space. Oh, they're just a match.
Yeah.
It was just a first-time GM and a president playing GM making a mistake to put him in that spot.
Yeah.
Even if you just leave yourself a single ARB case, you get a second buyout window. Like just little first-time GM mistakes are how they lost Holloway and Broberg.
For me, it's less about the money and more why would Matthew Nyes sign an offer sheet
to get paid more money?
I get it,
yeah.
But it's
like,
just
why would Broberg leave Edmonton if he thinks he can win a cup there? I mean,
I just think
it's just to get respect with your salary.
I get it. I just think there are other I get it. At the same time,
the player. That's probably what he really wants us to talk about.
Sure. Yeah. No. I just think
Physical.
ultimately with the cap going up, last summer it's different. Only so many teams can sign these offer sheets. I think we're going to see a much more robust market for offer sheets going forward. I think it's not going to be the 5 or 6 teams that have that flexibility. It's going to be a lot more teams. And I just think from a Calgary standpoint, I think you're very fortunate if a player even has you on their list.
Nyes is 24 goals this year, would tie him with Kadri. Where does that put him compared to Huberdeau?
Where does he sit if he's playing in Calgary this season?
I mean, he's a left shot. He's probably on the second line.
Yeah, but my point is
he wouldn't score as much. No, I just mean it's just the type of skill set you should be looking to add, like for the same reason you wanted Frost and Farabee and that you targeted Yegor Sharangovich when you made a trade for Tyler Toffoli. He's 22 and he's 6'3", 230.
He's a very appealing player. Don't get me wrong.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I struggle to see the fit for a lot of reasons.
I just think the offer sheet's going to be real easy for most teams to match with the cap growth. But yeah, he's already looking like he's going to double career highs, and it's just his second full season.
Yeah, he looks like a guy who could be Toronto's equivalent to what Valery Nichushkin was for the Avs.
That's a really good player. I'd offshoot the hell out of him.
Sure.
If it turns into Val. Yeah.
But at the same time, you need the McKinnons and the McCarrs first. That's the way that I see it.
Yeah, in a perfect world, I agree.
All right.
I just don't know that this team has a plan to get McKinnon's and McCarrs.
No, they don't.
Maybe Perrick is your McCarr light, obviously. But I don't know where their number one center is. I don't know how old their number one center of the future is. Is he playing in midget?
6 years old. Like,
is he born yet? Is he in junior right now? Is he on another roster?
That's
the biggest challenge Connie has here is finding a legit 1C. Michael Backlund just turned 36 yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's not in the organization right now.
No, it's not. But I like Knies. It's an interesting kind of target.
Yep.
It's the type of thing they should try to do. For the comment, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Eric is saying the more I see Perrick, the less I'm convinced he's light anything right.
It's
but
fair.
We are talking about a prolific defenseman for the ages in Makar. To just say he'll be Makar would be a touch, if not incredibly presumptive.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think fans have earned the right to be this excited about a prospect.
Totally.
I think Perek has earned the right to garner that excitement. But at the same time, Avalanche fans, when Makar was coming to the league, I don't know if they were necessarily saying this guy's the next Erik Karlsson.
No, of course not. It's better than Erik Karlsson.
You're sure?
Yeah, like defensively, absolutely. Okay, other comments. Let's get to it. I think there's a couple left in here. If Zane is out of the OHL playoffs, do we bring him in? Absolutely, you do. Yes.
Yeah.
He's already signed his entry-level contract, and I don't think you'd have enough runway to get 10 games to Bernier. So you could just, would it be an ATO or a PTO? I don't know what you'd call it. You could just recall him to the big club, but it wouldn't burn a year of the contract, I don't believe.
Put it this way, Pike, who is one of the most,
CBA fluent?
Well, CBA fluent, but also I was going to say notoriously, patient people I know when it comes to talking about prospects, talking about how quickly they should be integrated into the lineup, how quickly they should be brought along. Pike is already penciling Perek into a top 4 spot in the conversations that I'm having with him. And
here's the thing. Mackenzie Weegar has played the left almost his whole career.
Yeah.
He did it with Aaron Ekblad for most of his time in Florida, where they were great together. And he did it most of his first 2 years in Calgary with Rasmus Andersson or Chris Tana, but mostly Rasmus Andersson on his right. And so, yeah, you could say, oh, there's too many righties. But here's the thing. You should view Weegar as a righty or a lefty. And, like, could he be better than Joel Hanley? Like, God, yes. The question's going to be, how's the defensive side of the puck? And can you live with the mistakes he will make because it's such a quantum leap from the OHL on the defensive side of the puck? But yeah, they're going to take their time. And if he looks good, they're going to not worry about burning year one of that contract and keeping him up, because I think the old school thought of, like, don't play the 11th game, you'll burn a year. Well, now guys are getting paid after their entry level anyway. So you'd probably rather pay a guy based off his point totals on his second full year rather than his third full year, which is going to be a guy that's finally getting acquainted. I mean, the trajectory of a player, you're probably getting a better long-term deal after a second full season rather than a full season, because a guy's just newer in the league and hasn't quite figured it all out yet.
No, I fully agree. I think fans should be preparing for the possibility of Perek in Calgary very quickly.
At least at a bare minimum, he'll get 10 games. That's my promise to you.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm out to lunch here, but I don't see a world where they don't give Zane 10 games. And if he's just not quite good enough yet, or strong enough, or the defense is really, really bad,
he'll go back.
There's a really tough decision to make on where the hell you put him, because you're not allowed to put him with the Wranglers. But that's a problem for after 10 games, I think, is how the organization's viewing it. They expect him to come in and win a job. He's clearly way too good for the Ontario Hockey League. You could argue he was last year, but we're talking about a guy with like 3 or 4 games left, already over 102 points now. No one in the OHL's done that. Like, it was the OHA the last time anyone put numbers like that up. And it's not like he's doing it at a 19-year-old. It's his 18-year-old season. So, yeah, he's going to get a look here. It's just what he does with that look and where you put him in, because I don't think you want him on a third pair. And really, you want someone good on his left, and there's only one really good lefty right now, and that's Ball.
Yeah.
Maybe someone super steady like Solovyov that could be a third pair, but then what are you doing with your Pahals of the world? I don't know. That's a problem for next year. If he's forced his hand on the roster, it's a good problem to have.
He's coming.
He's absolutely playing games.
Can't wait.
Year. Yeah, it's the best prospect they've had since Wolf.
I think
the Wolf one always had that little bit of doubt because of the size, which feels ridiculous now.
Yeah, I mean, somebody in the chat just made the comment, pro tip, wait until he changes his number. Those Zane Parekh 89 jerseys, that's my prediction in the coming
89
years.
is a good number in Calgary. I don't know if you're familiar.
It is a pretty good number. I think he's going to switch to 19 pretty quickly, but those 89 jerseys, remember the Goodrow 53 jerseys? Those were
there's a few. TJ Brody had a
66.
He was rocking some Mario Lemieux for a while.
Yeah.
Trying to think of some other ones. Monahan and Kachuk.
Monahan were that was the thing. Monahan and Kachuk were given those numbers right away in dev camp. But it's I think those Parekh 89 numbers, they're going to be Bennett was the other one. Bennett wore 63 in his first playoffs.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's all I can think of right now.
Very good. Okay.
Iginla 24.
Iginla was 24 in his Flames debut, which was game 3 against Chicago in the opening round of the 1996 playoffs.
Yeah.
I think it was either that game or game 4 that went to like double or triple overtime. It was like midnight.
Yeah.
I was refusing to go home. My dad was like, all right, I guess, whatever. Goal and assist, 2 games, played with Theo. They got swept that year, and they didn't get back to the playoffs till 2004.
That's right.
Okay. Anything else, Jack?
No, that's it. Let's get Mikey home.
Let's get Mikey home. We'll get to our bet 3, 6, 5. A look at the slate for what's coming up tomorrow in the NHL. This just in. Breaking news from Bet 365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Where every face-off, hat trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet 365. An official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION to get in the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Here's the slate tomorrow. 2 games. Not really dripping with playoff chase implications, but absolutely some seeding going on. It's weird. Colorado and Dallas are in an odd spot. Neither are going to be able to reel in Winnipeg unless they fall off the face of the earth, which Winnipeg doesn't look like they're going to do. Toronto, on the other hand, they now are 2 points back of the Panthers with a game in hand. Would you like to be first in the Atlantic, or would you like to see a Florida team in round 1? Simple question.
I know it's
simple answer.
Yeah.
The Kraken, I don't know what they're doing. Ron Francis, what were you doing? Montour and Stevenson away from what? And the Minnesota Wild are just waiting for Kirill Kaprizov to get back. It's a very good club with a sneaky great year from Gustafsson and net. But they're about to free up $12 million in Suter Parise buyout money for next year and aren't fully healthy. They'll be wild card 1 most likely, and we'll have to face a Vegas or Edmonton team, I'm guessing, from the Pacific.
You know who I think the Wild are regretting trading to the Boston Bruins for Justin Brazeau?
Lauko?
No. Marat Husnutdinov, who has got 2 goals in his first 5 games with the Boston Bruins. That's as many as he had in 57 with Minnesota this season.
He worked the fucking Husnutdinov in. How did he do that? God damn it.
Oh, man.
Mike and I did work the trade deadline Eve game where he got to say
Marat Husnutdinov.
Pretended that was a normal way to say a guy's name.
That's just Marat.
What? That's how you pronounce it. It's like, why are you talking like you're on The Price is Right?
Marat Husnutdinov. I can't even say it normally. I can only say
that was my point.
Marat Husnutdinov. There we go.
Get the app, have some fun. Let's flash them up one more time and make some incredibly bold proclamations. I'll say that we're going to take the over on Toronto, Colorado. That feels like a barn burner per the lingo in the 365 read. Over 6, minus 115. We'll dance with that. And we'll take the Wild at minus 180. We're going to parlay that with an under to get some really nice odds. Because, again, I trust Minnesota's goaltending. And maybe it's Marc-Andre Fleury night. We'll check them tomorrow. And we'll have more bets on the main show tomorrow. Jack, thanks for your work. Flames, good work. Rangers, feel shame. Embarrassing. You're all getting traded. I just talked to Chris Drury. You're out of the Big Apple. We're sending you wherever you hate the most, you jerks. And those no movement clauses, put them in the shredder. Screw you. Flames win. Jersey on Thursday. Barn burner tomorrow. Chat then, friends. See you, buddies.